Hi,
Hello.
Zimbini. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
We can, absolutely, loud and clear. Can you hear me?
I can. And if you
Wonderful.
don't mind, maybe I'll grab my headphones if that's okay.
No, not at all. Go ahead. That's great.
Thank you.
It's lovely to have you here with us this morning.
I didn't think I would need them, but I think they might just work better.
No, that's
How's
great.
that?
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, Zimbini, I just wanted to say welcome this morning, and to all our visitors that are watching with us today as we chat. But let me do a quick intro for you. Zimbini is the founder and owner of Hluma Media, which is a powerhouse media house, right? That does corporate culture, branding. But not only that, what Zimbini prides herself in is having a knack for spotting great talent. And not only that, Zimbini is a mom, and proudly so, running her own business. So we're running a series at the moment, Zimbini, on the value of women and the value that they bring to the workplace. And as a mom, I wanted to ask you, so how do you feel about not having to leave your mom hat at home when entering the workplace? You know, why is that important? How do you integrate them rather than just leaving your mom hat at home?
Sure. It's not a very easy question to ask, but I think I process generally through integration. So I try as best as I can to be an integrated individual. So an integrated is I'm hugely spiritual. So I'm a believer, and I try and take that into everything that I do. So in my being a working mom, an entrepreneur, an advisor, a non-executive director, all of those things become who I am in this moment. So I suppose the primary integration for me is the integration of self. And then everything else has almost got a space in my head which I can see to work holistically. And I think I'm very fortunate actually, because there's a lot of working moms who need to be at the office from 8 to 5. Now, I've got the privilege of not having to be that person who's at work from 8 to 5. I do various things, but my time is relatively flexible. So I can be a present mom, present in that I can still leave work at 12 o'clock and go fetch my kids. Not that that is a sign of motherhood, because there's so much more to being a mother. I consider myself a strategic person. So I have built a village, as they say, of people that I trust around me. So when I say I am available, I'm not necessarily physically available at home, but I'm available to provide input. I'm available to provide direction as I would in my workplace. So I've kind of integrated my life to suit what I believe is who I am, how I've been wired, what my talents are, and put my energy into the things that where I flow, including motherhood.
I love that. You know, I often, when I talk about the fact that I think that women are multifaceted diamonds. So as you said, you're a businesswoman, you're a board member, you're a person in community, and we have these different facets, and you're a spiritual being. And those all pitch up in different ways at work. But at the end of the day, we're one person. And I think that that's powerful, that we can't actually leave our mom hats at home, can we, when we're at work? Because at the end of the day, we are an integrated person, Zimbini. And in that, you know, just that understanding of being an integrated human being with so many different facets that we bring, what value do you see that women bring into the workplace?
Sure. I suppose the first would be the value of my personal identity. And my personal identity is interwoven in my feminine identity, or at least in my identity as a woman, because my experiences, my exposures, just that's the whole way that I process is unique in its nature. So I think I consider myself as unique, and that's my primary value. And in considering myself as unique, I bring a diversity into any environment which makes us work better as a whole. And that diversity has got so many facets to it. The primary facet being, I'm a woman. And I have a nature as a woman, I have a way as a woman, yes, which may be similar to other women, but it's unique in its own aspects, because I myself come as a bowl of energy and as a bowl of range, which is probably unique to me, but also similar to others. So that's really my value. My value for me comes from my knowing and walking in what I know to be my core identity.
And if we've got a number of women who've joined us this morning who are listening. If somebody's struggling with their own identity, what advice would you give them? How would you say, how do you go about establishing what that identity is so that you can bring it holistically into the workplace?
I think it's different for different people, and we all walk a path, whether we know it or not, of yearning to know, who am I and why am I here? For me, that process, I suppose, started with that question. There was a yearning that there's something unique about my contribution to the world. Has put inside of me unique talents and experiences that where he's trying to show me what my identity is. Now, in that, I think, to just shorten it a little bit, a lot of the walk actually took me back to understand that how was I presenting myself? What are my interests? What are the things that bring fire and passion into me? And one way I had locked myself into an identity that I am, for instance, is that I studied accounting and I went into, and I started working in financial services. Now, financial services at the time was predominantly male. And I happened to have been quite tomboyish growing up. But as I was walking, I then started, and as I was searching, I started to see that there's elements of who I thought I needed to be in my workplace, which were stealing from my feminine identity, and were actually stealing from what other people call intuition, which I call the voice of God inside of me, which actually is the voice that will tell me who I am and what is expected of me in any moment. So when I started to do that search is when I started to tap into my personal feminine nature, actually, because I grew up as an A-type, highly driven, tomboyish, almost a boy girl. And in growing in my knowing who I am, I then grew in creativity. I grew in my feminine nature. I started to wear the high heels, not because it's expected of me, but as an expression of my beauty and my feminine nature. So I can't imagine the walk happening without an anchor of who created me. As much as my mom and my dad spoke life to me, and I know my lineage, but it only settled when I had a deep relationship with my creator, and I could see, not only in my historical walk with its ugly, because there's no walk that is not without the ugly, but I could see the beauty in the ugly. I could see how I've grown, and I can still, I still have a long way to go. And it's not an easy path, but it's a fulfilling path, because I think the reason it's not easy is because it's difficult to see the ugly in our story as actually the blooming of who we are. So that has been my path. My path has been anchored in knowing whose I am before knowing who I am.
Could you say the last bit again? So it's anchored in who you know.
In knowing whose I am before knowing who I am.
I love that. That's really beautiful. Yeah, I love that. And Zimbini, so we're doing this whole series on the value of women, and particularly because we Recruit My Mom, and we stand for women in the workplace, is just the sense of value that women bring into the workplace. So, would you have advice for women who are possibly feeling either personally undervalued or that they don't recognize the value that they can bring into the workplace, or maybe they're in an environment where they're not being valued by the people around them. What advice would you give, given your journey that you've been on?
Sure, it's a difficult one. We're always going to have naysayers, and we are always going to have people, knowingly or unknowingly, who pull us down, not because we're not worthy, but because they are feeling not worthy themselves. So I think having compassion for other people's situation, to know that, yes, some people are just ugly, but in their ugliness, there's an expression in the pain that they're going through. And I might not be able to help them with that, but I can guard my own heart and start to identify when the names that are being put on me, or the lack of validation that is being put on me, is not actually about me, but about the person. And for one to go through that process, I've got to know me well enough to know that I've put in my best. I'm not going to, because it's exhausting. And I spent the time in my career where I didn't know who I am. So I was a female, I was Black, and I was battling other people's unconscious views of who I am. And there was a time when I allowed that to shape me. And how that would then shape me is that I come in with the same aggression that I can sense. And when I grew in saying, not that I don't care what people think, but if I know that I've given my best, I've come in as authentically as possible, somehow there will be people who value me as much as I'm putting in, because it just always happens that way. And then, because it's always the 10%, when we look very closely, the naysayers and those who don't value us, yes, in difficult circumstances, it may be your boss, in which case we need to evaluate where we are. But in many instances, it's actually colleagues or partners who are not significant in our walk. And they really are out there to distract us and derail us from the grander purpose of knowing what we're here to contribute. So knowing the big picture is the way that has helped me to know that I'm not going to fight every battle. I'm not going to prove myself to every person who has unbelief as I see it. And I will only walk in the places where I am valued, and I will walk out of the places where I'm not valued.
I like what you said about contribution, Zimbini, is that in your recognizing what you've got to contribute, it gives you a sense of confidence, is what I'm hearing. And I think that that's really important for women to understand, that each of us has got something to contribute positively to our nation, to our communities. And in that understanding is wonderful. And just, as a let's put your boss hat on just for a little while now, is just, what are some of the contributions that the working women in your working space have made to your life and to your work environment?
Sure. I'll start at home. In my home life, I've got a nanny and I've got a helper, and I had to affirm them that I wouldn't be able to do what I do if they were not my village. So as far as they know, at least as far as I try to affirm them, is to tell them that they are like any other corporate. You've got head office, and then you've got corporate services, which enables head office to function. So they're my corporate services, because without them, I wouldn't be able to function. So those are my two key pillars who get this working woman to contribute to a different core, because they have a different core to what I have. They are living their purpose at my house, and I'm living mine elsewhere. And I've been fortunate to also then, in my different spaces that I operate, I've got women partners that I work with, partners that I'm fortunate who know who they are. And we know what we each bring to the table at any point in time. And we affirm each other's contribution. I have had bosses who, because at any stage I'm a leader, and another stage I'm led. So I always have to kind of walk through. I mean, we're so fortunate to be living in a time when women are being affirmed. when women are being identified as being needed in spaces where one wouldn't expect. And I've had the privilege to walk through those spaces, both being the leader and the one who's being led by women who value first humans and then value the differences in our humanity, gender being one of those differences. So I have had the pleasure of leading a team that values diversity in all its aspects and values the unity that comes with the diversity and the power that comes with the diversity. Yeah. So I've been very fortunate. And I've also walked through some fires where I've seen women who haven't quite stepped into that place yet, where another woman is competition versus a partner. But I know that in time, the more we grow in ourselves and the more we grow in our identity, the more we grow in valuing other humans, regardless of what form they come with or mistakes that they come with, then we'll start working together.
I love that. I love what you said about the diversity and the power that comes with it, but also is that one can tend to see a lot of competition, particularly sometimes between women. And I think that what I'm starting to see is a lot more collaboration, where women are comfortable in who they are. And so when you're comfortable in who you are, you start to recognize the contribution so much more easily of what other women can bring into your life, and into the world at large, and making a positive impact as we go. Zimbini, any kind of final thoughts or parting words of wisdom that you'd give to our working women out there, our busy moms who are trying to juggle all their different balls that they juggle? Any kind of pearls of wisdom you might cast in our direction?
Sure. There's a phrase that I might be misquoting. I think it goes something about we're not all in the same boat, but in the same storm, or the other way around. We're not in the same storm, but the same boat. I think it's the same. We're not all in the same boat, but the same storm. And I think that's important because we don't all have the same load to carry. So we're not all going to walk through this the same. But I do think that, having said that, the one thing that is of assistance is to find a tribe that you trust. I mentioned my help at home. They are my village. I really, truly believe in the saying that it takes a village to raise a child. And I think it takes a village to walk a purpose. And being in a village means that we need to be amongst people in the community that we trust. No man is an island. And I'm not self-made. I'm made by the men and women that walk alongside me, even those ones who bring the thorns which bring about my personal growth. So I think if I had to give a nugget of wisdom, is to truly search of how to grow in trust. Absolutely. And how to grow in love.
Yeah, that is so true. That is really, really true. And we are definitely not islands. I know that the success of Recruit My Mom has definitely not been built by me alone. I have this an incredible team of women behind me, and then of course we've got hundreds of thousands of women who have joined our business to support us in what we do in terms of changing employer perceptions around working mothers particularly. And it's true, we can't be islands. And Zimbini, it's been my pleasure to talk to you this morning and to collaborate with you and to celebrate your business. Just remember that Zimbini is the founder CEO of Hluma Media. And we're very proud of you for having started your own business and being a working mom and joining us here today. So well done. And thank you. And it's been my pleasure to chat to you on this live chat this morning.
Thank you so much. It was awesome. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. I'm just going to share your details for anybody who wants to reach out to Zimbini. She's at www.hlumamedia.co.za, and Hluma Media is HLUMA media.co.za. So you can be in touch with with Zimbini, and of course you can follow her on Instagram. Have a beautiful day, everybody, and for those of you who joined us, thank you, and you take care, and God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.